Okay, Todd is finished with his goat yoga that he had to do on the break. And this is Around Midnight with the Local Boys. I am Joe Carbonetta. I've got Todd Fluker with his goat yoga and Chevelle Devine with his rocks and fainting goats back there. And, we are the Local Boys. What is that, Todd?
Oh, yeah, this is what we're talking about right here.
That's goat yoga.
You get some of that goat yoga up on there?
You weren't kidding. This wasn't made up.
No,
Oh, wait.
it's a real
No,
thing.
they faint.
Goat. See, there are people doing yoga. And
That was a screaming goat.
that would be hilarious if it actually were.
If you're doing yoga and there's a goat screaming in the background.
See, you cuddle with
And I'm
some
sorry.
goats.
Yeah, how is the goat supposed to have? And then there's the Aaron.
I thought there was a child it was dragging.
Yeah,
What
that
was
is
someone
all
dragging?
kind of bad.
What is
man.
how is the goat supposed to help? I don't understand.
I just can't see doing downward dog when something
Okay,
with
but
horns is running up behind
this
me.
one-
That goes against every Tom and Jerry episode I've ever seen in my life.
I saw another video where it was just like one of those tiny little, like really small goats, and it was like jumping up on the people. These are like full-size goats.
Crazy.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know what to say to that. I really don't.
Bad video, Aaron.
Okay, why is that still up there?
It's not programmed, Joe.
What?
It's not programmed.
We can hear it in the mics.
No, that's Chevelle playing
I'm
this
sorry, I'm
crap.
sorry.
What are you doing, Chevelle?
Watching screaming goats, they're hilarious.
Yeah, stop.
All right, what are we talking about?
I don't even know anymore. We were talking about the National Guard being used at the border. I think this is a terrible idea. Anybody else?
Oh man, I got
What
some
else
new.
are they good for?
I got some new glasses.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that whole border thing was pretty boring. So
Yeah,
you know,
well, So, are you for the National Guard going down there or not?
I'm for these cool glasses.
Okay, so Todd
Just
wants
like
the National
these?
Guard at the border. What about you,
Uh-huh.
CJ?
It's such a non-issue.
You
Are
know,
we- is this really a thing?
I was kind of
Yeah,
concerned.
it is because our tax dollars are going to be spent to put them down there.
Well, at least they're doing something.
Oh,
I was really concerned.
Otherwise, they're just playing
personally.
blackjack at the fort.
Yeah, that's true. I was personally concerned about these glasses maybe looking like, somebody's mom's glasses.
and they do.
But I was like, isn't that what the kids are all cool with?
Yeah, you're a very Sally Jesse Raphael right
Yeah,
now.
you go shop at the thrift
Oh
stores.
my God, that's it. That's it. It's Sally Jesse Raphael.
Yeah.
Holy cow, you nailed it.
Yep. Yeah, you better swap them out, bro.
Wow. And
swap
and
them
now
Ferris
we're going
Bueller.
back to no. I'm telling you now, it's closer to Elton John.
Styles from Ferris Bueller.
Yeah, no, I'm not seeing that. So, what do you guys think about the idea of them putting homeless people in your backyard?
Hey, they're paying for it.
They're paying something, all right.
They're paying for it. I'm good.
I don't know if it's enough.
No, it's not enough. I gotta say though, it's not a bad idea.
It's a terrible idea.
It's not
I don't
a bad
want.
idea.
Why
not.
is it why is it the citizens' job to now take on the problem of homelessness?
Okay.
Yeah, you say
Hold
it's
on,
not a bad
hold
idea.
on.
Wait till that homeless person is peeing in your
Well,
backyard
no,
because
no,
he
no.
just
It's
doesn't
not,
feel like
it's
using
not
the bathroom.
like they're just gonna shove anybody willy-nilly back there.
You don't think so, huh?
No, I don't think so.
Oh boy,
I've
you got a
worked
lot
with
more
homeless
for a man who
populations
has no
before.
faith in the government. You seem to be putting an awful lot of faith in them.
That's exactly why I think it's not a bad idea. When we let the government do things, then you end up with people running rampant in the streets, going crazy, and beating the pulp out of each other. If communities acted like communities and took care of the least of these among us, we wouldn't have these problems. But the problem is everybody is so selfish. I mean, if you've got 5 bedrooms and you're using one and the other 3 are used to store all of the other crap you don't use until somebody else comes by so you can show them how much crap you have, that's wasteful, man.
Yeah, but let's look at the flip side of this. If they're going to start paying you as a homeowner to let homeless people live there and they don't have to do anything for it, I might consider becoming
well,
homeless.
They do have to do something for it. Because if we're talking specifically, long story short, it was an LA Times article that came out recently. The LA Times has actually launched a pilot program. I believe it's official. And the county board of supervisors approved something, I think it's $550,000 to basically subsidize people who want to build like granny flats in their backyard or tiny houses and then allow a homeless person or family to live there.
Uh-huh.
Now, A lot of this speaks to the stigmatism on homelessness. I am literally probably one paycheck away from being homeless myself. And when you don't have family, which fortunately I have to rely on, or friends, looking at you guys, that you can depend on to have your back when it hits the fan, then you're in trouble.
Oh, hang on, CJ. We had a telephone call coming through just now, and I was about to answer it, and I think it got sent to voicemail. So if that was you calling, call us right back. Chevelle was talking so long I couldn't take the phone call.
I'm just saying it's not a bad idea. And I think it's this, and this goes back to something I always say. We're always ready to pass the buck up until, something goes wrong. Like the cop shoots the wrong person, then we're pissed.
Oh, man.
All I'm saying is if they're going to, if I'm going to get like a whole house to myself and somebody else is footing the bill, I might seriously consider going homeless. And they're calling back. So, hi, how you doing tonight?
Hey, what's happening?
Not much.
Hey, is that Kevin?
You know who it. No, this is Bob.
Bob. Okay.
Hi, Bob.
Bob Bobberton.
From Bobville
Hey, what's happening?
on Bobbity Lane.
Man.
It's a cul-de-sac.
First off, can you guys hear me clearly? I think I'm on an old headset, but I got so many of them I can't tell.
That's pretty good.
Sounds good.
I hear you.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Don't want to be, no difficulties or anything like that.
So, Bob, you gonna let homeless people live in your backyard?
No, here's my thing. Here's my thing. The challenge is a lot of homeless people. Okay, this is LA. There's a lot of different types of homeless people.
Right.
It sounds weird.
Right.
You got your crazy homeless people. You got your down on your luck homeless people. You got the living in the car homeless people.
You
My
got the
big
addicts, and
challenge
you have
is-
fully functional homeless people
Yeah.
with jobs that are living in, can't afford housing.
Absolutely. With P.O. boxes, and some of them are getting assistance checks. They
Yep.
just don't have a residence. The challenge is you don't know which one you're getting, and a lot of these folks don't exist on paper. It's, okay, I'm like 137 years old. So I remember when Reagan first went into office. And, okay, not trying to knock Reagan, but I think there was an experiment at the time where they decided, hey, we were spending all this money on assistance to mental hospitals. Let's save some bucks and let's, take that money out. What happened is you started getting people that they were starting shutting down mental institutions,
Yeah.
and they started putting people literally out on the street.
Yeah, it just flooded the
homeless
streets with
problem-
homeless people, with
Yeah.
not just homeless people, but mentally unstable homeless people.
Yep. And then,
Yeah.
but then you also pair that up, like with even if you deal with vets, you have people who go. You basically condition these people to go out and live in anywhere, basically. And then when they come home, they're not welcome for whatever reason. People don't like the war or whatever it is. Or it's just a tough adjustment to go from a wartime environment and then coming back here with a bunch of people who have absolutely no idea what you went through and frankly don't want to know what you went through. So it's hard to make that adjustment. It's easier for you to say, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and live under this bridge and rely on myself rather than have to put on this happy face because I don't feel happy and I don't feel like people should ignore what's happening to the people they might have left, their comrades or people whose guts they walked away from on a battlefield somewhere. That's a hard transition. So community's got to pull together around those people, man.
But see, I'm not sure that's the answer because I think you're fighting. I think the fight at that point is you can't fight at that level. I think it was better. Okay, for example, when we were shelling out tax dollars going to mental institutions, in hindsight, we realize now, hey, maybe that was money well spent. Maybe we shouldn't let it get to this point. It's kind of like, okay, I won't go into it. It's kind of like the whole war on drugs. Everybody's fighting the war on drugs on the street.
Or
Well,
the
how
war
did
on
it get here in the
terrorism,
first
for that
place?
matter. Are we winning that one yet?
Exactly. It's like we're fighting these. We're pouring money into it at the wrong place. Not enough money and in the wrong place. And I think that's the thing with the homeless. The average person isn't set up for that. And the average person has no idea or can't fathom what a homeless vet might have gone through, or really homeless anybody, or someone that just needs
Right.
some help. Plus, some of these folks can be dangerous.
Yeah.
And again, you don't know which one you're getting. So, no, I mean, it sounds crazy, but I try to spend money to stay away from that.
So is it better to
live
do
away from
nothing,
that.
though?
No, I have no problem doing something.
Right.
And the something I'd like to do is put my tax dollars back into it and have, I'm not a fan of big government. But
Right.
again, looking back, it's like, gee, we were kind of better off because these people were being managed. Okay, no system is perfect, but they were being managed on a professional level by people who were trained to do this. that had medication, that had tools, that had knowledge. We're just some guy with a house. We have no idea what we're looking at.
Well,
You know,
to
I mean,
be fair,
that's back to like,
I don't
Go
think
ahead.
they're forcing people to do it, so it is a voluntary program. I would have a problem if they were forcing people to just take homeless people in. That would definitely be an issue for me. But if a person wants to do this and they have the space and they are willing to put in the resources to do it, I think they should be able to get all the help they can get. And if the county wants to throw, knock off some fees on their ridiculous permit fees anyway, then I'm all for it.
It's easy for you to say that. Let's say you're the guy who decides to build that in your backyard and take that homeless person in and let him live in your backyard. But what about your neighbors? What if they're not thrilled with the idea?
My neighbors probably aren't thrilled with me, so I'm frankly
It would be a step up.
Yeah, it's a total package as far as I'm concerned. So how are you? Then that also, though, that speaks to the same issue that I keep coming back to, and that is the whole concept of neighbors and neighborhoods. If you have a good relationship with your neighbors and you have a good relationship with your neighborhood, then you're going to know
Then you're about to
the
trash it
community.
when you bring the homeless people in to live in your backyard.
No, you can't say that, because I've seen people who have been homeless and had their lives turned around. And the key is you got to get them when it first starts to happen. Once they're like 5-6 years into being homeless, that's when it's like battle
becomes a
fatigue. It's
lifestyle.
PTSD at that point. So those are the people that everybody's scared of. But I know people right now with jobs. I know people right now looking for jobs that are homeless, but they're not crazy and out there, getting high, getting drunk, shouting at people on bus stops. They're not doing that.
Doing yoga with goats.
Actually, some of them are doing yoga, yes.
With goats?
Not with goats, no.
Okay.
Goats are expensive, as it turns out.
but see, I categorize that differently. I don't call those homeless. I call that down on your luck.
Well, if you've got no home,
I
you're
know-
homeless. But the problem with that is, like,
True.
whenever you go and you want to get a job, you want to, even collect your unemployment check, one of the first things they ask you for is your address. And they always want a physical address. And if you don't have
correct.
one,
But
there's, like, literally no way out.
I feel like that is a big
Yeah.
difference, though, between your average homeless person and, say, a person who, is kind of down on their luck
But
momentarily.
how do we know that
and
that's the
they're
average homeless person?
Perhaps couch surfing a bit. This is the kind of thing where you have to build up your relationship with people you know and have someone to fall back on, whether it be family or friends.
But
where-
sometimes you just don't. Because I'll give you another population
see-
that is almost doomed to fail. When you talk about kids who come up in group homes, because out of the gate, for whatever reason, whether it's some tragedy affected their parents, they died in a car crash and they just don't have any other family, now they're shuffled off to some foster care system that literally destroys lives. Not everybody survives that system. So they're doomed to failure from the beginning, and it's not because they don't want to, it's just that they seriously
Well,
never had the chance.
That's also another government program that is probably very poorly
Which
run.
comes right
where,
back to my point.
Kids, they're getting a stipend for however many kids they have. So they're trying to pack in as many kids, and they're not doing it for the right reasons. So once again, that makes me feel like, how is this government program where they're choosing people to live in your backyard, and you think they're going to do a good job of weeding out the crazy ones?
I've seen it work.
But now you're saying this other government program is completely broken.
But that government program has pretty much no oversight. Like, these are invisible
And that's
people.
And you don't think this government program is going to be in exactly that
The
same...
only reason we're having
with
this
a budget of
conversation-
$500,000, they're not going to have any oversight.
The only reason we're even having this conversation is because people are seeing more homeless people, particularly in California,
They're
because the
seeing
cost
more
of
homeless
living.
people because they keep adding more homeless
No,
people programs.
there's-
It makes
no,
more sense to be homeless.
That is absolutely not the case. There are basically two types of people who can live in
gentrification.
California:
Yeah.
rich people and homeless people. Everybody in between, it's hard as hell to survive in this country.
So yeah, Tracy
in
says
LA.
she says she has friends who choose to be homeless because they think housing is too expensive.
Yeah, it is. Because
So,
then you,
so now
here's-
let's make it free for them. And you don't think more people are going to
First
want to
off,
be homeless?
It's not free. The article specifically says it's basically the same program you have with HUD, where 30% of whatever income you have, you pay toward the costs. But you shouldn't have to pay your entire paycheck.
30% of the income that I have. So now you want me to subsidize the homeless people.
No. The homeless person's
No,
income.
the homeless person.
30% of whatever income they have, they pay, and then the balance, or
And if they
however much
have
is.
no income, most of them don't.
But you see, so what is the alternative?
So wait.
What is
How are
the
they-
alternative?
How are they going to
Here-
figure out the guy's income? What about the guy that's standing there on the street corner in Pasadena at the end of the freeway? Is he going to report that income? I don't think so.
I have seen the success stories. I know for a fact that there are people who come out of it and do very well. There are people who don't ever come out of it, and there are people who come out of it, do well for a time, and then go right back. But it is not very uncommon. I think that, I don't know if it's one of the Asian proverbs or something like that, where you basically go from rags to riches back to rags within 3 generations. You have the person who pulls himself up from the bootstraps, makes all the money, they hold it for like 1 generation, and then you get the grandkids who squander it all, and you're right back out on the streets.
All right, Kevin is trying to say something here.
But see, here's the thing. We're under the assumption that all these homeless people, or the homeless people that you get, are down in your luck. Okay, first off, if a homeless guy is going to live in your yard, in your neighborhood, then I think then you need to have the neighborhood need to be zoned for it or something. That way, if I'm going to buy a house in that neighborhood, I have an opportunity to find out in advance that homeless people are going to be living with my neighbors. And the reason I'm concerned about that is, well, here's my issue. There's a news story 1,000 years ago about a guy was a church was taking the homeless people, very very well intended. Turned out that a bunch of little girls were getting raped by the homeless guys. They didn't find out until later, like years later. That's my concern. You don't know what you're getting. You don't know these people. They don't exist on paper. There has to be some sort of vetting process. There has to be something. I mean, I can go to a website and find out if there have been sex offenders living in my neighborhood. I should at least be able to find out if someone's taking in homeless people, because if they are, I want to live in a different neighborhood.
Well,
and that's not,
nothing
against me being against homeless. It's just that.
Well,
I agree that everybody should be able to make an informed decision. I agree with that.
Yeah.
And then that goes to, sculpting your neighborhood. But then one of the things that does is that creates an imbalance where people who care take on more of the burden, and the people who don't care get to basically ignore the problem. So you end up with the same.
America,
yeah, I know, but I mean, this is the same. This is the same people who are saying that are the same ones who are going to say we got to do more for these people. They're going to be the ones out at rallies talking about how unfair the system is because these people don't have to do anything and these people are doing all of the work. They're the same ones who are going to be fighting for the increases in your minimum wage, minimum $15, minimum $20, whatever. The same people that are complaining about police brutality on disenfranchised populations. Homeless is about as disenfranchised as you can get. Just shy of that, the only other place you can go from there is prison. And prison is better off a lot of times.
We've got the solution to this. Every person who shows up at one of these pro-homeless people rallies or these anti-police rallies should have to put their name on a list, and those are the people who get the tiny houses planted in their backyard, and a homeless person gets to come live with them.
I don't think it's a bad idea. That's all I'm saying. I don't think it's a bad idea. I don't think it's a perfect idea, but I think it's better than building asylums. I think it's better than building prisons.
Eric says he feels that we're all about 2 paychecks from being homeless.
Especially in Southern California.
Yeah, ain't that the truth?
I agree.
I hate to say it, but I think we've run out of time. We've actually kind of gone over, and I think we got to get out of here. So I don't know that
I think we could finish the conversation with Kevin.
Oh.
I mean, Bob.
Bob?
What?
Bob Bobberton.
We got a few minutes for Bobby.
On Bobbity Lane.
Bobbity Bob.
I agree that it's good intended. It's like I said, there has to be some sort of vetting process. And okay, yeah, you make a good point. You make a good and valid point. You said, okay, there are some people that are going to be doing all the work. But I think if you're lucky, there are 2 types of people. Some are going to do the work, and some are going to write the check and send it to the people to do the work, so they don't have to.
Fair enough.
It's when you're talking about my family, where I live. I mean, okay, I live in Burbank. When I moved into Burbank, the day I moved in, one by one, all the neighbors kind of came over to kind of, hey, welcome to the neighborhood. But they want to kind of know a little bit about you. And finally, they're like, hey, what do you do? I said, oh, I work in studio technologies. And immediately, they all were like, oh, okay, great. You're one of us. That was all they wanted to hear. And it's funny because that's the interesting thing about Southern California. We don't care about black or white. It's, oh, you're in the same line of work. Okay, fine.
Yeah, it really.
My family's
it gives you a good idea of what kind of person you are.
Exactly,
I don't know.
Exactly. That's
me too. I don't know if that's a good thing.
No, there has to be. I mean, for the interest of public safety, I mean,
there does need to be a vetting process.
If you're fortunate enough to have a house in California, you're paying a lot of money for it. So you're going to pay a lot of money. It'd be nice to know what's in the neighborhood with you, because quite frankly, anywhere you go, the houses are more expensive because people want to try to get away from the unknown or the riffraff or both.
Well, that's what wasn't that the issue that started that? At least one of those big fires we just had recently was
Squatters.
homeless encampments up in the Hollywood Hills or wherever. People just living off the grid, quote unquote. Yeah, they have their little hot plate or whatever, and they're just, you hear about these homeless encampments all over the place where they're,
I don't know.
trash
I think
everywhere,
backyard living might be
feces
an argument in
everywhere.
favor of avoiding situations like that.
Yeah, so that
We can get them George Foreman grills. Sorry.
gotta plug them in somewhere.
Hey, just make them raw vegans. Problem solved. Eat the dandelions in the yard. Call it a day.
Get some dandelion green.
I'm saying I don't want a homeless guy living in my backyard. I feel bad for the homeless people.
Joe,
and,
but
All I'm saying, Joe, is like in a couple of months, I'm gonna be knocking on your door, and you're gonna have a homeless guy living in your backyard.
I
man.
do think it's a good idea for a program, and I personally might be interested in participating in it.
that's because
if
you
I
have
didn't
pigeons
have-
in your backyard right now. So, I mean, they poop all over the place just like homeless people do.
If I didn't-
You wouldn't notice the difference.
Yeah, exactly. Stupid aviary. Yeah, if I didn't have a child in my house, I would totally consider this. But yeah, like you said,
There it is.
I have a kid. I don't know what this person is up to. They're coming in and out. But yes, they are kind of living in their own structure. So for the most part, you don't really have to deal with them.
Yeah.
And I think the article specifies that you only have to have a homeless person living in this basically this little
It's a
apartment
subsidized
that they're
structure.
going to
It's like a converted
build
garage
for
type
you.
situation.
Yeah, for up to 10 years, and then the structure is yours, and then you could do whatever you want with it. You could rent it out. You could turn it into a man cave. So I mean,
That's a long time of somebody mumbling in your backyard, walking around naked and pooping in the plants.
at least they're trying
about
to
that.
give you something to entice you to help your fellow man.
I mean,
I see where they're coming from.
I think that by the time that 10 years is up, nobody's going to want to be inside that structure anymore. You're going to have to burn it to the ground because it'll be a biohazard.
Yeah, that would be the time they send the health department by. Like, they ignore you for 10 years, and then, health department, we got to collect some fees. You're going to have to tear down the structure and permits.
Yeah. Oh, so.
and Tracy says, if you had a gun in the house, you would feel better, Todd.
I still like Tracy. All right, now
She's totally right.
we really do have to get out of here, guys. But Kevin, thank you so much for your call this evening. I really do appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm glad that there's one reasonable person on the panel besides myself who's saying,
See,
yeah,
just like
this-
Mo,
this
the
whole thing
bully.
about
It all comes full
homeless
circle.
people in your backyard.
You just want to bludgeon homeless people with wrenches and poke them in their eyes?
No, I'm perfectly fine with setting up homeless shelters. I'm not cool with having
Where?
one move into the backyard next door to me when my kids go outside to play.
Doesn't work that way, man. Doesn't work.
But I don't know. It's an easy leap to see. Yeah, you have one homeless person move in there, then all the homeless people in the neighborhood find out, hey, there's one of us living in this place. Let's all go shack up with them. And then all of a sudden, you got people claiming squatters' rights.
Well, yeah, no, here's
All
the
right,
thing.
so
Here-
clearly there's a lot of education and thinking. that
Here's
needs to
the
happen
thing that
on
I
this.
see happening is, okay, so one neighbor goes and puts up a homeless shelter in his backyard, starts getting money.
We're now
And so
going to
then-
homeless shelters?
Now that's what they are. That is what it
It's
is.
a
Let's call it what it is.
home.
No, it's a homeless shelter.
It's a
and so
home.
then somebody was like, "Hey neighbor, what you doing there?" "Oh, I just put up a homeless shelter in my backyard." "Oh,
Live next to
Yeah,
Kermit
the
the
government's
Frog."
paying me a whole bunch of money. "Oh, really? I should put one of those up too, right?" So the next thing you know, you've got 5 or 6 of these people all living next door. Everyone's got a homeless shelter in the backyard. One night you come out and they're all singing with a trash can fire going, and they're all hanging out over the wall. And you're like, "Hey, I'm trying to sleep. I gotta work tomorrow because somebody's got to pay your electric bill."
Are they singing doo-wop music? Or
I don't know whatever homeless people sing. I'm just saying. All right, it's
Man,
it's
Joe,
totally time to get out.
you are a crotchety old man. Good grief. Wow.
That's some rage.
It could happen.
I'm just playing devil's advocate. All right, Kevin, thanks again for your call. You have a fantastic
Hey,
night,
thank you.
all right?
You too. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. All right, this has been another exciting edition of Around Midnight, and if you want to tell me how wrong I am, or better yet, tell us how wrong Chevelle and Todd are,
What?
you can.
I'm never wrong.
You can write to us at mixify@gmail.com, or you can tweet us at Joe Carbonetta, or at Chevelle Devine, or at Todd Fluker.
Or at Mixify.
Yeah, check out the mixify.com website. You can always give us a call and leave us a message, even. If you want to send hate mail, shoot it to Chevelle. And on that note, we are out of here. This has been another episode of Mixified Media Solutions Around Midnight with the Local Boys. Stay Mixified. Around Midnight is a production of Mixified Media Solutions. Mixified is a full-service multimedia production company. From boardroom to broadcast, whatever your production needs, Mixified is your solution. Go to Mixified.com, that's Mixafied, or call 951-356-6882. Mixified Media Solutions.